You're watching NewsX. I'm Uday Pratap Singh, referring to the significant deployment of Indian Navy ships to secure the shipping routes amidst Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. External Affairs Minister Jaishankar has stressed that 21 Indian Navy ships have been deployed in the distressed region and are protecting the international shipping routes, keeping trade costs down, adding that the endeavour has actually upgraded India's stature in the world. Since October 2023, there has been a surge in attacks on merchant ships in the Red Sea, Gulf of Aden and the Arabian Sea. In fact, in the course of the last 6 months, over 60 maritime attacks have been orchestrated by the Houthi rebels. Whether it's a Houthi attack or incidents of Somali privacy, India has been at the forefront of guarding maritime security amidst precarious series of events. The Navy has conducted at least 18 rescue operations and saved over 110 lives. These missions have solidified India's role as a first responder, a preferred security partner, and expanded its role as a net security provider in the oceans. Meanwhile, he also highlighted India's economic growth and its ongoing journey to become the third largest economy in the world, and said the decision India make home are keenly watched by the world. The question then that arises is the world perceiving India as the anti-piracy hero? Is the world recognizing India's growing stature is the big question. Well, let's quickly listen in first to what the External Affairs Minister had to say.
21 of our ships are actually on service out there who are actually protecting international shipping. So that's also a very graphic, and they actually keep trade costs down, because if you can protect shipping, insurance cost is less, shipping cost is less. So how do you get relevant? And of course, most important, how do you actually get the respect of the world? And you get the respect of the world just like you get the respect of people.
Joining us at this point is Major General A.K. Sivach, former Chief Territorial Army. We also have Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, former Navy officer, joining us live. Major General Dhruv Katoj, Director India Foundation, is live with us. Ashok Sajanar, former ambassador, also joins the broadcast. Let me begin with you first, Major General Sivach, on what you make of this very significant statement by the External Affairs Minister. Major General Sivach, can you hear me? Okay, I think we're having some trouble there with his connection. But Vice Admiral Shekhar Sinha, would you like to take that? Your interpretation of the External Affairs Minister's statement.
Yeah, sure. Firstly, namaskar, and thank you very much for getting me on your program, Uday, after a fairly long time. I think this is a very significant statement by the External Affairs Minister. And I am not surprised, because the navies are the tool of India's diplomacy everywhere. 70% of the world is water. And this is the India's international role, protecting sea lanes of communication for the world commerce, not only of the Indian ships, it's world commerce. And that's exactly what the minister is talking about. You know, it's very wide. You know, Indian Ocean is nearly 3,000 kilometers wide, 1,500 kilometers on either side. And if 21 ships are deployed, well, they are all required. There are 5,000 men and women on board, 900 hours of flying by P-8I aircraft and the MQ-9 drones. So I think the way I look at it, imagine if Indian Navy was not there, what would have happened? And that will give you a very devastating picture of what was prevented by the Indian Navy, or what was assisted by the Indian Navy, of the happenings which did not happen. So I think that the world must take note of this. We have been doing this for a long time. But at this point in time, when the Houthis, as you said, have increased their attack, ships are very much in danger of getting hit by the missiles fired from the Yemen land. But one point I want to make, Uday, and I'm sure that my panelists will dwell over this, the co-panelists, the piracy attack, hijacking attempts increasing along with the Houthis' action in Red Sea has got some connection with each other, because Houthis are being supported by a country which is under heavy sanction, and therefore the money part, there's only one way to do it, and that is to do hijack and extract some ransom. And I would very seriously think that people should pay attention to this part. But EM's, the statement, just right and just in time for the world to take note of what India can do. India's stature, of course, has gone up, because it's a world duty. It's as per the UNCLOS that we safety at sea of the seafarers is equal right of all seafaring nations, and India has just been doing that. Uday.
All right, let me, take that also to Major Dhruv Katoch. Major Dhruv Katoch, this really has been remarkable, this operation, hasn't it? The presence, of course, of a vast amount of these ships, but also the alacrity, in which they've responded to, mayday situations on sea and foiled the pirates' nefarious designs and rescued, several individuals from multiple nationalities over the last few weeks.
Thank you, Uday. Uday, about 2 months back, I happened to be in Mumbai and I had the privilege of actually visiting one of the warships which had taken part in one of these operations. And it is an experience to see how it is done. And with 21 warships being deployed as of now in the Indian Ocean, I think it is a remarkable achievement for any country. As the External Affairs Minister has stated, commerce forms a very important part of what is happening in the world today. Most of the countries across the globe are going through recession because of 2 years of pandemic. And now India has, of course, got through this very well. But now, subsequent to that, we have had the war in Russia and Ukraine, which is still ongoing, and the Hamas conflict. Now, tied up with all this which is happening in the world, which have been negative factors, is the added impact of piracy in the Red Sea and in the Indian Ocean. And I think the very fact that the Indian Navy has been deployed there and has kept it down to the barest minimum is a story in itself. It shows Indian power. It shows what the Prime Minister had earlier stated, that we will be the net security provider in this region. And that is simply not, now nobody says it is mere talk. It is action on the ground. So we have seen it playing out. A brilliant job done under all counts by the Indian Navy, but also, I would say, by the political establishment. Everything has a political dimension to it. It is the political will and the capacity and capability of the Indian Navy working in unison, which has actually created this outcome. The Indian Air Force has also participated in the same. So I think it has been a very creditable operation, which are still ongoing, which have made it possible to keep the sea lanes open. While the Red Sea is still a problem because the Indian Navy is not inside the Red Sea, the US Navy is looking after that aspect. But even then, now a large number of ships are passing through the Red Sea, though many have taken a divergent route and are now going around the Cape. But I think it's been a very positive step. It shows India in the correct light. And what the External Affairs Minister has stated is a simple reiteration of facts. India is there. India has its place in the world. India has recognized it, and the world has also recognized it. Uday.
Yes, Ambassador Sajjanar, let me take that to you. Ambassador Sajjanar, that is the big question. We have done our duty with incredible diligence, and we've carried out our responsibility for the world in this region, in this area. But is the world acknowledging that? Are they accepting that? And is this leading to our growing stature?
No, absolutely. Thank you very much, Uday, for having me on your show. I think definitely, the world is taking note of it. And, I think the world is realizing and recognizing that India's rise, India's development, India's growth is not only good for itself, for its own people, but it has emerged as a force for global good. And particularly in our own vicinity, meaning after all, there is not a single other ocean that is named after a country. It's only the Indian Ocean that's named after India. So I think India's responsibility, definitely as far as ensuring peace, security, tranquility in the Indian Ocean, that is there, and India is fulfilling its responsibility admirably. India is walking the talk, and I think the world is taking note. We see that there are other navies, larger navies, maybe sort of, closer, because you have, as far as Djibouti is concerned, you have bases of the United States, of the United Kingdom, of France, of China. But it's basically India which is there, which responds to all the calls. And we have seen, I think there has been some sort, as Admiral Shekhar Sinha said, there has been some sort of coordination between the pirates and the Houthi rebels who have been sort of, firing all these missiles and drones on shipping. Because, we heard of this piracy issue some years ago. But I think over the last 6-7 years, we didn't hear too much of it because everyone thought that, it had been taken care of. And suddenly this demon has also raised its head about 6 months ago when, this firing on the shipping in the Red Sea and around the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, that happened. So I think there definitely is some sort of a correlation which we need to investigate. But that apart, I think as far as India is concerned, it is India has been there, and whether it is piracy or it is international shipping, global shipping that has been going there, and if they have been hit, it is India is the Indian the ships are the first responders. They go, they rescue, and even if it is the vessel is on fire, they douse the fire. They sort of take care of the crew members, bring them to safety. So I think India has been doing a very creditable job. And to respond to your question, the world is definitely taking note because you see in all these cases, there is not a single other ship of any other country which has come out so very quickly and with such great swiftness and alacrity to respond to these distress calls. So definitely the world is taking note. So in addition to what we say that over the last 10 years from the 10th, 11th largest economy, India has become the 5th largest economy. It's the fastest growing economy. It's going to become the 3rd largest. So along with all those things, India is putting its might, is using its might for the benefit of peace and tranquility in its neighborhood. And the world is definitely taking note. Uday.
Okay, the world is definitely taking note. That's certainly very, very reassuring to hear. That's also what the External Affairs Minister has indicated. Major General Sivac, are you back with us? Can you hear me now, sir?
I can hear you.
Okay, Major General Sivac, I was trying to ask you earlier on this, statement by the External Affairs Minister. Do you agree with him? And do you believe that this is something that we will continue to do in the next few weeks and months as the situation continues to remain very, very unpredictable vis-a-vis the Houthis and vis-a-vis the Middle East?
Absolutely, no doubt. Today, the situation as far as in Arabian Sea and Red Sea is concerned is not normal. The Houthi rebels are very, very active. And now the Somalia pirates, which were lying dormant for last about 6 to 7 years, have overnight become very, very active and start looting the commercial ship. Now, remember that the 12% of the merchant vessels which are going from Red Sea, going through the Suez Canal, this is the shortest route which is there from Asia to Europe, is been adversely affected. There is the Operation Prosperity Garden, which is being run by the US. There are about 10 to 11 countries in that also. But that has not been very effective. Who is most effective is the India. They are the first responder and they are the next security provider. Now, what we have showcased the whole world, any ship which is there in any danger, whether it is very close to Red Sea or Arabian Sea, it is the Indian Navy and Indian Air Force which is coming and aiding and supporting them. And it has saved almost more than 30 ships in last about 4 to 5 months. So the point which is very clear today to the world is that Indian Navy has arrived and we are now turning from a brown water Navy into a blue water Navy. The way we have responded, it showcases that we are well trained, well motivated, and we have a leadership which is very, very focused, and we have an aim of taking a timely decision. And this has now showcased to the whole world that Indian Navy has a might in Indian Ocean. And I suppose it sent a very good message to the PLA Navy that time and again they are having a number of submarines which are operating in Indian Ocean. But it is the Indian Navy which rules the roost. So I suppose a very good message has been gone and a very positive message has gone. Remember, Uday, what has happened is that since this route has been adversely affected, that the trade has become very costly. Now it is almost 25% more. Most of the ships were now taking a longer route, bypassing Red Sea, taking a detour of African continent and then going to Europe. But the way the India has responded and also the American naval ship along with the other 11 countries, it has made a difference. And certainly, Indian Navy has made a tremendous impact. And today, the respect which we have earned is creditable, and we all feel proud that Indian Navy and Indian Air Force have done a remarkable job as a first responder and a net security provider for all the ships which are operating in this region. Uday.
All right, let me take that across to Major General Katoch. Major General Katoch, what do we expect the situation to be like in the next few months in this area, in this Gulf, in the Straits, in these waters?
Very frankly, Uday, I do not see any, any easing of tensions. It is not simply the question of the pirates operating in the Red Sea and in the Indian Ocean, in the Arabian Sea area. But it has got much to do with the ongoing war between Israel and Hamas, in which Iran is also now, while Iran was always a proxy actor, Iran has now jumped in directly. So I think the dynamics in West Asia have become totally different now, and it's going to become in the months to come. I think it's going to become even murkier. I'm not sure as of now. While both Israel and Iran have muted down, I'm not sure what the future will hold, because the very fact that Iran went in for an offensive against Israel, launching more than 300 plus missiles, while Israel has retaliated, which has been a mute retaliation. I think Iran has opened itself to counterattacks now, because now it is par for the course. So if Israel launches a surprise attack, they can always justify it. So I think is a bigger danger, because any major conflict in West Asia will impact the energy supplies as far as both India and China are concerned, and Japan too, to a very large extent. So these are three very major economies which are going to be impacted. But as far as the piracy is concerned, I think one of the major achievements as far as the Indian Navy is concerned is they have imposed deterrence on the pirates. A large number of them have been captured, and they are currently undergoing trial in India. But for the rest of them who are still there, that fear of God has been put into them, that the Indian Navy is there, along with the Indian Air Force, and we really don't know what will happen. So they are very, very cautious. And I think that deterrence is a very vital aspect of what the Navy and the Indian Air Force have done in this region. Uday.
Okay. Also, what has really been our strategy vis-a-vis these operations, Vice Admiral Sinha? Let me take that to you. And also, what does it really say about our naval power, naval might, and the tactics adopted?
Uday, let me first give you an answer to your earlier question, just in one line. The world has recognized, the Bulgarian Prime Minister rang up personally and congratulated the Indian Prime Minister. Thereafter, there was a conversation between the Secretary of Defense of the US, General Austin, and Lloyd Austin, he was speaking to our own Honorable Raksha Mantri, and he complimented that Indian Navy has done a marvelous job. So the world is very much taking note. So did the Iranians, because the coup went back. So did, in a very muted conversation, the Pakistanis too, because we have had some Pakistani nationals as well. Now, coming back to what you mentioned, Indian Navy, to my assessment, Indian Navy is the most powerful resident navy in the Indian Ocean region. It's a big country. It's a big navy by any account, and firepower is quite credible, and therefore to become the preferred security partner of any other nation in the Indian Ocean region is all natural. Yes, now we have some extra regional powers. US has always been here, and it's a friendly force, but the entry of China will be a real challenge for the Indian Navy as to how you prevent China from doing unlawful activity. Because freedom of navigation, innocent passage right is available to China as much as it is available to all of us. And therefore you cannot hinder that. But yes, if you find that any action has got a dual usage by the Chinese, for example, now, if they buy out any of the islands in Maldives and put some surveillance equipment, mind you, it will put all an entire southern peninsula under their observation, which is very, very, very dangerous. So these are the challenges which are there. There are some soft ways to handle that. But there are some hard ways to handle that. And I'm sure that the Indian Navy and the Indian polity and our Indian diplomats, they are quite capable of handling this situation which is developing. But I would say that one should not rest their oars, right? We are powerful, all right, but we will have a very formidable adversary who may not do anything for a long time. And next point that I want to make, a small point, that the proxy country of China is Pakistan. So China may not do anything directly to harm India because they want to keep away to show the world that they are not fighting. But actually speaking, all their equipment, whether you take aircraft, you take ship, you take submarine or any equipment, they're all Chinese. So the Chinese will willy-nilly be involved in getting their deployment and getting their operation under their own supervision. So that is going to happen, and this is what we have to watch out. So Indian Navy, the maneuvering space has very much, has shrunk. The freedom with which we ships operated and submarines operated, that indeed has got a little bit of hampered. But I think, these are all part of the geopolitical game which is unfolding in this area. And we have to, the navies have a great role to play in the changes in the geopolitics which is taking place in the world. Uday.
Yes, indeed. And, obviously, all of this at the end of the day shows, Ambassador Sajjanar, that India is a key ally. India is the best first responder and a much needed strategic partner for whoever trusts us as an ally and friend.
Yeah, you're very right. I think we have, as we have said, India is a Vishwamitra. As the Prime Minister has said, India is a Vishwabandhu. So we have, good relations, friendly relations with, by and large, all countries except possibly, we could count on our fingertips what Admiral Shekhar Sinha has mentioned as far as China is concerned. And now China's increasing closeness, proximity to both Maldives as well as Sri Lanka. I think that definitely is a cause for concern. And we have seen that although China says that it is sending research vessels to these countries, but actually in the garb of being research vessels, they are spy vessels. So I think we need to be cognizant and we have to bear the full weight of even our partnerships, because this would be a matter of concern not only for India, it would also be a matter of concern for the United States, it would be a matter of concern for the United Kingdom. France is also a resident power here, both in the Indian Ocean as well as the Pacific Ocean. So I think these are all countries that we can work together. These are the United States is also our Quad partner. So I think we can definitely, we need to continue to work with these countries. If I may add, although that's not my subject, that's not what you have asked also, Uday, but I think, and that is Admiral Sinha would be best equipped to respond to that. I've been hearing and I've been reading that we need to invest much more in the Indian Navy than we have been doing so far. I don't know in terms of numbers, possibly we have about 200 vessels on the waters, and we need to be at least 260 to 300 of them.
Right.
So we need to get much more, we need to put in much more money. I think it has started happening. You know what what Admiral Sinha mentioned about the P-8I and the Guardian MQ-9 drones, etc. So, this thing is happening, it has started happening. But since the challenge that is coming from China is so imminent and has developed so very quickly, I think we need to really focus on that also in a much bigger way. The last point I'll make here is, as far as the Indo-Pacific is concerned, you would recall that we had said it's from the eastern coast of Africa to the western coast of America. And the focus on the Arabian Sea, from the western coast of India to Africa, that has not been given so much of attention either in the context of the Indo-Pacific that we have been talking in the Quad. So freedom of navigation, etc., etc. I think that also needs to be brought on board in a much more proactive manner and focus to be given on that. not only as far as the South China Sea is concerned.
Okay. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.